Have you been involved in a long, drawn-out court case? Do you wonder if there is any way to speed things up? Hi, I'm Simon Dippenaar and I'm a family attorney. If you answered yes to these questions, you know how complex the legal system can be. Often multiple issues are involved in a single court case. For example, in divorce proceedings, the decree absolute must be granted, legally dissolving the marriage. But assets must also be divided and child care and contact matters agreed. Sometimes the financial settlement is very complicated. Disentangling elaborate financial arrangements can delay the divorce proceedings, but the couple may want to secure the legal divorce so that they can move on with their lives. Fortunately, South Africa's legal framework provides a mechanism to allow courts to streamline complex cases by dealing with specific issues separately. Rule 33 sub-rule 4 of the Uniform Rules of Court enables certain legal issues to be separated to improve the efficiency and fairness of the proceedings. If a court finds it convenient to resolve a particular legal or factual issue separately from other matters in a case, Rule 33(4) allows a judge to make an order to that effect. The rule gives the court the discretion to decide whether separating an issue will help expedite the case and clarify the remaining matters. If certain questions of fact or law can be resolved at an early stage, this may narrow down the issues that remain, making the case more manageable. In divorce cases, the court can decide to separate the components of the case. This allows the divorce itself to be granted quickly, while more contentious matters such as property division, maintenance, or child custody are dealt with later. If both parties agree the marriage has broken down irretrievably, the court may issue a divorce decree without waiting for financial disputes to be settled. The court's power to separate issues under 33(4) is guided by two key principles: convenience and fairness. The court must first determine if separating the issues will be convenient. In other words, will it expedite the legal process without causing undue complication? Secondly, the court must ensure that separating the issues does not result in prejudice or unfairness to either party. The balancing act between efficiency and fairness is central to Rule 33(4). In cases where it would be unfair to one party to separate issues, the court may choose to keep all issues together. This principle of fairness was a factor in a recent case where the court refused to grant a separation of divorce proceedings from the division of the couple's estate. In this instance, the husband wanted the court to issue a divorce decree while postponing the decision on how the joint estate would be divided. The court found that expediting the divorce would have created significant prejudice for the wife, who was entitled to a fair share of the joint estate. The court held that fairness takes precedence over speed, especially when the division of property is closely tied to the divorce itself. Convenience, in the legal sense, refers to the practical benefits that arise from separating certain issues. For instance, resolving one issue early may reduce the scope of evidence needed for the rest of the case. It may also lead to settlements, as parties often become more willing to compromise once certain questions are clarified. This was illustrated in another recent case where the court separated the issue of granting a divorce from the financial consequences. Both parties agreed the marriage had broken down, but there were no dependent children or pressing financial matters that required immediate resolution. The court found it would be convenient for both the parties and the judicial process to grant the divorce while addressing financial matters later. But convenience alone is not sufficient. The court must also consider whether separating the issues will truly expedite the case or whether it will lead to further delays. Sometimes the evidence required to resolve one matter is closely tied to the evidence needed for the other issues, and separating them could complicate the process and result in delays. When one party applies for a separation of issues under Rule 33(4), they must convince the court that the separation is both convenient and fair. If they do that, the opposing party must show why the issues should not be separated, such as by demonstrating potential prejudice or inconvenience. The court considers a number of factors. Will separating the issues materially shorten the proceedings? Are the separated issues distinct enough from the remaining issues? Is there a risk that the separated issues could be appealed, causing further delays? While 33(4) offers clear benefits in some cases, it is not without risks. One potential downside is the possibility of appeals on the separated matters, which could delay the overall resolution of the case. Additionally, in cases where one issue is dependent on the other, separating them can lead to confusion or even contradictory decisions. The rule of the Uniform Rules of Court is a valuable tool that allows South African courts to streamline complex legal cases by separating certain issues. This can lead to faster resolutions, but the court must also ensure that convenience does not come at the cost of fairness. The decision to separate issues involves a careful balancing of the interests of both parties, and courts must exercise their discretion to ensure that neither party is unfairly prejudiced. Used thoughtfully, Rule 33.4 can ensure justice is both swift and fair, benefiting not only the legal system, but the individuals involved. If you think Rule 33.4 would be useful in your legal case, get in touch with me on the number below. I will look at your case in detail and advise you on the best way forward.